Thank you everyone for joining today. This webinar is to cover the co-sell and catalyst for ISV motions between AWS and Align Technology Group. Myself, John Zemonek, Managing Director over here at Align Technology Group, working with customers to help them accelerate their moves into AWS and leverage AWS to build and sell solutions in the marketplace. Joined by John. John, you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Yeah, Jon Shallant. I lead our global ISV co-sell strategy within worldwide public sector distribution.
Awesome. Thanks, John. So quick agenda for today. We're going to have John kick us off with some co-sell with AWS. What does that actually mean? And how do you co-sell inside of the Amazon Web Services platform? We're going to talk a little bit about who Aligned is and how we fit into this picture. We'll talk about AWS Marketplace and what that big place is. We're going to talk about the Amazon Partner Network and customer engagements and how you engage with the AWS sellers and different entities within the AWS machine to be able to solicit and sell and build momentum with your products. Then we'll cover up catalysts for ISVs and how you can build momentum and going through this process and discovering this journey with support. And we'll close it out with some next steps. So without further waits, we will kick it off to John to go through this co-selling motion with AWS.
Yeah, thanks, John, and appreciate everybody joining today's presentation. To set the stage, my responsibilities here at AWS is for helping drive a strategic alignment between our ISV partners, distribution partners, and their downstream seller network. So I focus really on the go-to-market execution and acceleration of revenue, which is to grow our ISV software sales leveraging the AWS Marketplace. So really, I want to ensure mutual financial alignment amongst all co-sell parties involved and really to create a scalable and profitable mechanism for all partners involved. So today I'll share a little bit more of insights on just best practices around co-selling at AWS, how we're collaborating with ATG on this strategic program initiative to accelerate opportunities and sales for our ISV partners. So what I'll do is I'll kick off by just first defining what co-selling is at AWS. Really, AWS defines co-selling as the sales motion between AWS and our ISV partner, and we're working together on an opportunity at an end customer to really try to accelerate that sales cycle or uncover net new business for either AWS or the ISV partner. So in context, co-selling with our ISVs does not mean that AWS is trying to sell AWS services or sell the ISV solution on behalf. We're really trying to collectively come together and jointly sell the ISV software solution to that end customer. Next slide, John. So let me talk a little bit more about the benefits of co-selling with AWS. I'm going to try to deep dive into specifically, really, again, that co-sell relationship with our ISVs and how AWS can actively help sell your solutions to our end customers. And again, that's to just repeat myself. This isn't about selling AWS services. It's really about becoming an extension of your sales organization to drive that meaningful business outcome and the software sales for you as the ISV. So I'll break this down into the three key areas that is highlighted here on this slide and how AWS helps ISVs succeed when we co-sell together. The first is really about securing net new opportunities. So AWS, along with our channel partners such as ATG, have established relationships with customers across every industry. Our sales teams can introduce your solution directly to decision makers who trust AWS's recommendation. We bring you into those strategic conversations where your solution can help address those specific challenges that maybe we uncover. So think of it really, instead of cold calling and trying to get meetings yourself, you're getting warm introductions from a trusted advisor of the customer who has that established relationship. The second piece of it is to really grow and close those deals faster. And who doesn't want that? That's a huge advantage of the co-sell relationship. And so AWS is working in their large install to try to help accelerate those deals and find a simplified pathway of procurement. And so for many of our customers, they have these committed contracts with AWS today, which often means that we can help navigate our ISV partners to procurement process much more quickly by leveraging our existing contracting pathway. And how we specifically get this done is selling your solution on the AWS Marketplace, which has shown to significantly streamline the purchasing process for all of our customers that include government organizations as well. So for those who are not familiar with AWS Marketplace, I'm going to pivot real fast just to give a quick overview. But the Amazon Marketplace is like Amazon.com for cloud computing. It's a vast digital storefront where businesses and government organizations can shop for software and services. And just like Amazon.com, which had revolutionized, retail shopping as an e-commerce platform, AWS Marketplace, in the same sort of way, simplifies the process of finding, buying, and deploying software. So similar how Amazon.com offers, many different products from many different third-party sellers, AWS Marketplace in the same way features thousands of software listings from trusted vendors and reseller partners as well, making it that one-stop shop for any organization or government looking to simplify their acquisition of third-party software, whether it's deployed on AWS or not on AWS. So for the value of our customers, they can use that existing AWS billing relationship, that existing AWS committed spend to buy your software with just a few clicks. So this dramatically reduces procurement times from months to days or even hours. The third point I want to bring up is really how we expand your relationship and build lasting customer relationships. So co-selling isn't just about the single deal. It's really about building a foundation for long-term success together. And so AWS teams are there to really help position your software for enterprise adoption. And really, we look at this as our customers succeed when they succeed with your solution. And we want to help showcase these successes across our network and create a flywheel effect for your business and ours. This process, it's pretty straightforward. You identify the opportunities where AWS can help, and we work to get involved. So we try to match you with the relevant AWS sales teams who know the customer, and really together with AWS, we're engaging the customers and the sellers and actively advocating for your solution together. And throughout this process, we're providing consultative support, helping navigate both the technical and procurement decisions and decision makers. So let me dive into that motion a little bit more. So John, next slide, please.
Sure. And real quick before we move ahead, just one thing I'll note is that as an ISV, there's a good chance that a lot of your customers are already leveraging AWS. AWS has tons of segmentation inside of their organization, and sometimes it can be a bit challenging to identify who's the right person inside of the AWS team to engage and work with in order to navigate. And ultimately, that's where John and his team with this co-selling motion are helping build the foundation to expose out, and Aligned is also stepping in to support with these different segments.
Yep. Yes. Well said, John. So here I'll walk through the co-sell motion with AWS, really how the key players, key teams work together within this. And really at the heart of any co-sales motion is the strong coordination between all the different stakeholders that are involved. And that's really to help, streamline and simplify that sales process to drive your solution into those customers. So first, I'll highlight the AWS field sales team. These are the account managers and enterprise sales reps that have the direct relationship with our end customers. They understand those end customer challenges, their objectives, their buying cycles. And in this case, they're your advocates in those customer meetings, positioning your solution as part of a broader digital transformation initiative. Working alongside the account manager as part of the account team are those AWS solutions architects, or what we call SAs. These technical experts help to validate the solutions with the customer's architecture and can speak to the technical benefits of running those solutions with AWS. So they're instrumental in removing any sort of technical objections with the customer technical stakeholders, and also help achieving that technical win with the right stakeholders. And then we also have the AWS Marketplace specialists who are supposed to be the experts in helping our customers understand the benefits of procuring through Marketplace. So they'll work closely with customers that are closely related to the procurement teams or contracts who understand how to leverage the existing AWS committed spend to streamline their purchasing process. And then really last but not least is really the co-selling coordination, which is typically handled by a AWS partner development manager or what we call a PDM. And they're the quarterback of all the activities that help drive and develop that go-to-market strategy with the ISV and AWS. But while as a new partner, many of our ISVs won't likely have access to a dedicated PDM at this stage. We've really established a collaborative agreement with our trusted co-sell partner, ATG, who really helps fulfill this critical role. So they are the front lines for helping develop and execute, your co-sell strategy with AWS. With that, John, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I would just say that at the end of the day, there's a journey here of navigating the different Amazonians. There's thousands of them. There's many programs and opportunities to chase, and our team, the fundamental function of our team is to help guide you through the process. So we know that every ISV is a different level of maturity in the Amazon ecosystem. And regardless of where you exist in the maturity level today, whether you've transacted many deals through Marketplace, or this is your very first one, or you're trying to identify what solution is the best fit for leveraging the marketplace, our team and group of resources can help guide you through that and meet you where you are in the journey. So happy to support.
Absolutely. And I'll say that there's a tremendous amount of folks, including on that last slide, that are there who are financially motivated to sell with you. And as part of my introduction, I mentioned, one of my jobs is to really try to help align the financial motivation of all parties involved. And I want to talk specifically about why AWS sellers and stakeholders are motivated to co-sell with you. And so let me first talk about the customer value there in the top left. So when our sales teams are recommending your solution, they're helping our customers solve real business challenges. And this builds a lot of credibility and trust for AWS. So our sales teams know that when customers are successful at implementing your software solution, which is built on AWS, it drives a more deeper cloud adoption and higher customer satisfaction. And for us, happy customers are likely to expand their overall AWS footprint, making this a win-win-win scenario. The second thing is the opportunity value. So your software solution drives AWS consumption. When customers deploy your solution that is built on AWS, they're not just buying your software, but they're actually utilizing our compute and storage and networking and many other services under the hood. So this means every deal that you close, we help close, that our sales teams, along with ATG, can help meet their cloud consumption targets and ultimately profit off of the sale of your software. And the third piece of this is that your solution helps our sales reps hit overall sales goals and metrics. So our sales teams have specific goals and targets for maybe it's partner involved deals for ISV solutions, and they're really there to kind of help sell that solution so that it can help count towards their partner sales goals or any of their KPIs and MBOs. And so this means actually working with you helps them achieve, maybe multiple different sales goals and KPIs. And the fourth piece, which I think is the most crucial to understand, is that our sales reps that support those end customers that are helping drive the co-sell relationship with that end customer are financially compensated for selling your solution. And they actually receive direct compensation and credit and quota relief for the total contract value of your software solution when it's being sold on the Amazon Marketplace. And so again, we're creating direct ties to sellers having a financial incentive to help you close that deal because they get paid on it as well. John, next slide. So I want to make sure that after I said all that I want to set the right expectations here, that just becoming co-sell ready with AWS is definitely a journey. It's not an overnight process. And so it's important to understand that ISVs don't just start out by being co-sell ready and having that sort of credibility with AWS from day one. There are several steps and requirements along the way that you'll need to meet in order to become co-sell ready and for reps to have go-to-market relationship with you. Now, this slide might seem like a lot, but really the purpose of this slide is to explain that you're not doing this alone, that our partners at ATG can help navigate this process and are really there to help expedite the journey to get you co-sell ready in an accelerated fashion. So they have the deep expertise in guiding ISVs through these requirements, can help you avoid common pitfalls that might slow you down, and they know exactly what it takes to help meet AWS's co-selling standards so that you can prioritize the right activities and get there within a much accelerated time frame than doing it alone. And so what I want to do is to hand it over to John at ATG to talk more in depth about their AWS Catalyst program for ISVs, and again, how that will accelerate your business and accelerate you to go-to-market readiness with ATG. So, John?
Thanks, John. So real quick to set the stage, who are we? Ultimately, we're an AWS only consulting services partner, and we focus our time helping organizations build and sell and thrive within the AWS ecosystem. We have fundamentally built our team to be able to provide advisory insights, professional and managed services, and also reselling solutions to different organizations that are leveraging the Amazon platform and trying to grow within that platform. Typically, we see that organizations need help in a few key areas, and so we've built productized offerings directly in collaboration with AWS in order to support those needs. So one of the things we're talking about today is helping transact and execute from a resell and marketplace solutioning perspective. But there's a lot more that goes into that before you can have a solution ready to get into marketplace and start selling to customers at scale, which Amazon can bring to the table. So those could be things like configuring and securing your environment, building sound landing zones, making sure to go through the process to meet the healthcare, finance, manufacturing, auto, any of these different vertical initiatives where you can tie industry-specific solutions to your direct offering and meet the AWS sellers where they are today with their customers. And then the last area where we typically support organizations is going to be in the compliance and security framework domain. So there's a lot of commitment and stress on organizations to meet SOC 2, to meet HIPAA compliance, PCI, or any of these other normal frameworks that we see in the marketplace. And our organization can help you identify and navigate those pathways. So where we are in marketplace and why it's important. Putting a listing in marketplace does not mean that all of a sudden you will have your door beat down with opportunities and solutions. However, there are some key benefits when you do invest the time and effort into building an AWS Marketplace listing and ultimately driving your organization to leverage this as one of the sales channels. The curated catalog of digital products is ultimately stating that there's tens of thousands of offerings inside a marketplace in one place that the customer can leverage a click of the button in order to access, purchase, or try different solutions and ultimately implement them into their technology stack. There's thousands of AWS sellers that are incentivized, as John showed in that earlier slide, in order to help support the recognition of those products and ultimately drive further adoption. The second piece here is talking directly about the compensation. So AWS is incentivizing their sales and delivery teams in order to leverage marketplace. They are also incentivizing partners and distribution partners and other components in the ecosystem more broadly to drive more solutions into marketplace and storefronts. The third piece here is going to be the propensity. AWS has a lot of data. They're a very data-driven organization. They make decisions with data, and they can also surface that data up to their key partners that have built and invested time in solutions on their platform to drive a higher propensity to purchase and mature that sales pipeline so that we're no longer guessing on what a customer needs. We actually have engines and recommendations and tools and algorithms to help drive the behaviors of the sales teams and also meet the customers where they are predictively based on historical knowledge or predictive future forward-looking knowledge that AWS may have at their disposal. And then fourth, this is a worldwide ecosystem. AWS is a large cloud provider supporting customers in all different regions. So regardless of currency and tax implications, AWS has a number of resources to bring to the table to be able to help transact on a global and worldwide scale, allowing for ISVs to reach further than they would on their own traditionally. So how do we get started and go? As John shared before in the earlier slide, where there's highlighting a journey, there's some key steps that have to be taken by every single partner in the Amazon Partner Network in order to be successful. ACE standing up there is the Amazon Partner Network Customer Engagement, and then APN is the Amazon Partner Network. There's over 100,000 partners today in the Amazon Partner Network ecosystem. These are organizations that are helping customers be successful across services, implementing their software products, and also just go-to-market motions to be able to help in the broader ecosystem. This all starts with an onboarding process. This is signing up for the Amazon Partner Network and telling AWS what path you'd like to go down, what journey you'd like to follow. This will also include steps like creating offers, getting your team certified, and really showing up to play as a part of the journey. From there, we're going to continue to build and iterate. AWS brings a number of resources, including the well-architected framework review, foundational technical review, and other build solutions to be able to help really build those solutions, tell your stories through case studies, be able to build industry-specific solutions and market those within the Amazon ecosystem, and also for your sellers to take to market as well. Then they move to the go-to-market stage. This go-to-market stage is really core to the building the marketplace. So making your solution available to the sales teams for that co-sell journey, really be able to hang that first shingle and create industry-specific or solution-specific offerings that are listed in Marketplace, meeting the specific needs that the customers might want. You're also going to be building battle cards at this stage, go-to-market plans, and really helping with that co-sell motion from business development events and showing up where the AWS sellers exist today, showing up where the customers are today to be able to be a part of these different industry events and opportunities that are available in the ecosystem. The third step here we're talking about is selling, all the fun stuff that everyone wants, building pipeline, being able to have the momentum of deals flow through AWS. It's really important to leverage the ACE platform because, again, AWS is a data-driven organization, and if they don't have the data, then they don't know what's happening. If you're not entering in your opportunities into ACE, then there's a lack of insight from the teams to be able to show that momentum and build that traction that you really need to execute your go-to-market plans and get it to a place where you're fully activated in the co-sell channel motion. This is a really important segment to build that momentum and traction. And then ultimately, we're getting to a growth stage where you're fully validated as a partner and you have done all the steps that you need to. You have a technically sound solution. You have a solution that is met with business support from both internally and externally within AWS. And really now it's pouring the gasoline on the fire. And so this stage is often met with a lot of activities to be able to further blanket solutions across different segments that are going to be using these highly repeatable offerings time and time again. Again, at the end of the day, ACE and the APN are what enable you in order to be successful, tell your story, and do this in a way where at scale, a number of Amazonians can be educated to drive these successful solutions and engagements with AWS sales. So there's a lot here and not a lot of information on how to actually do these things. Ultimately, what we did was we worked with AWS as a part of this, again, collaboration to build a product offering specifically for ISVs that wanted to get started, but maybe didn't have a ton of money to be able to allocate to this area or a ton of time to be able to learn all the steps and wanted a way to navigate the journey without a significant investment right up front. Obviously, spending time iterating and building applications and using resources to drive revenue versus trying to maybe figure out how to get off the ground. For us, this Catalyst for ISV program is a natural mechanism for our organization. Ultimately, what you're doing is you're migrating your consumption that you have today with AWS. So if you're spending $1,000 on AWS, you can buy that through Amazon directly to support your software solutions and offerings that you take to market, or you can buy that through a partner or resale partner. When you buy it through a resale partner like us, it's the same exact price as that same $1,000, except the only difference is now we get access to partner programs and margin to be able to help fund different offerings. In this case, we have a set of business and technical offerings that we bring to the market with that margin that we receive to be able to help pour additional support and resource from an advisory and level of efforts perspective on our end to make sure that you're successful in reaching that like full co-sell growth potential and ISV accelerate. On the technical side, we'll dive through there, but at a high level, we're providing ongoing cloud financial health checks to make sure you're spending the right amount of money and on the right resources in the right way and optimizing both the engineering and commercial mechanisms that are available to you within AWS. On the architecture side, we're making sure that you're building a well-architected solution that is vetted and supported by Amazon to be able to get that support inside of their technical teams and ultimately go through the ISV acceleration program. The cloud security posture assessments are going to be ongoing scans against major benchmarking like the AWS Security Reference Architecture, the Center for Internet Security Top 18, and then any other additional industry-specific frameworks such as HIPAA or PCI or some of these other ones that we've mentioned before. That's going to tell you the high level of where the very high, medium, and low risks are found across every single major technical domain category, and ultimately surface up a roadmap for your team to be able to identify which areas you need to invest more effort into securing your environment, or maybe some known business risks that you all agreed to take on. The last piece is going to be further into the architecture. So again, AWS has a prescriptive, well-architected framework review that covers 6 key pillars: resiliency, scalability, efficiency, performance efficiency, sustainability, cost, those sorts of things. And then as a partner, we also can bring in additional architectural security and other checks to the table to be able to help execute on making sure that you're building a well-rounded solution and meeting your organizational needs where they are. On the business side, we're doing things like consolidating billing and providing ways in order to transact inside of Marketplace and inside of AWS in a more manageable fashion, including diving into things like cost allocation tags, multi-account strategies, and how to do appropriate chargeback and showback to be able to bill your customers in an effective way and ultimately ensure that you're making money. Cloud advisory reviews. These are going to be advisory services that are going to be provided to your team to make critical decisions on your infrastructure or business plans, and know that you have a partner that understands the AWS ecosystem and can also understand the customer ecosystem in your specific industry domain, and ultimately drive better decisions without having to make guesses or educated assumptions as to where we need to go with the business decisions. The go-to-market partnership speaks to that last slide, but ultimately what we're talking about here is really navigating the game of AWS. Again, just because you make a marketplace listing doesn't mean that there's going to be 37 orders at your door. At the same time, that can be a great mechanism to be very, very successful inside of the AWS ecosystem. And for an ISV, it's a natural place to go to be able to show that progress and get to be a part of the game. Also, when you're navigating this go-to-market effort, there's opportunities to grab funding mechanisms or to be a part of co-sell motions where we're highlighting specific industry use cases and going and targeting a specific use case and pulling in those appropriate ISVs to work together and surround the customer in the way that they need to offer an end-to-end solution. So all that's included in these business services, and we'll speak further on that in just a second. So 2 real quick case study examples. As a part of the Catalyst for ISV program, this is going to highlight more of the technical level of effort that we would provide to ISVs and partners of ours as they're going through this effort. We had one organization that was a organization supporting nonprofit and schools. So think of PTAs and K-12. This organization was trying to expand their use cases, and they were constantly met with questions around, are you built appropriately to help support these students and individuals, and then also the financial data of taking credit card transactions and financial transactions to ultimately store finances for PTA committees and be able to apply them based on charity fundraising or events that are happening around the schools. Our organization got involved as a part of this Catalyst for ISV motion at no cost to the partner. We were able to deliver all of the services we reviewed just a few minutes ago and get them to a place where they implemented SOC 2 Type 1 within a matter of weeks, literally less than 90 days, and then SOC 2 Type 2 within a matter of months, well under 6 months, and get to a place where they can meet the RFP requirements that their customers were providing to them. We also were able to help them navigate the well-architected framework review, which is highlighted here in the summary and usage area, and also drive continued cost efficiency in the screenshot of the cost optimization. Ultimately, what we're driving towards is the ability to have not only a marketplace listing and be able to successfully work within the AWS ecosystem, but also meet their customer needs where they are. This was a smaller organization that does not have a ton of extra money to spend to go through all these processes. And we were able to save them tens of thousands of dollars throughout the compliance, security, and architecture process, while also allowing their limited team to focus on their applications, continue to iterate on new offerings that they could bring to their customers, and know that they're doing it in the way that AWS needs them to hit scale and mass and bring the market on Marketplace. The second example here is an organization that is providing services to departments of health and human services. Ultimately, they were struggling with this co-sell process, which we have up here, and trying to figure out how to navigate the right way where their customer is using AWS. The customer wants to use AWS to procure their solution, and they've never been in the co-sell motion. They've never done a deal with AWS before, so to speak. And so our organization got involved to be able to walk with them hand in hand to get to a place where they were able to transact their solution through Marketplace, drive down consumption that was committed as a part of their private pricing agreement with AWS, and really get a win-win for everyone. AWS got to further expand their use cases inside of that state entity within Health and Human Services that they had not worked with before. And also the partner, in this case, a healthcare technology organization working with Department of Health and Human Services, was able to transact with much less burden from a contractual perspective, a billing perspective, because they didn't have to invoice the customer. AWS is doing the invoicing collection on their behalf and sending those funds directly to them. And from an Aligned Technology Group perspective, we were able to walk with them to understand how to register their first deal, how to get their solution into the ACE platform and APM platform, ultimately engage the account manager, hold strategy calls to figure out if there's ways to be able to enhance their deal further than they're already looking at, be able to really start and run that joint sales cycle so that everyone's singing from the same sheet of music, so to speak, and we're all talking the same language. What the customer found was that the sales cycle went much faster after they were unable to identify where to start with our team. And once they were able to start, the deal size grew as well, because there was things that they were not aware of in this sales process that AWS had much more insight into. And ultimately, our teams were able to come together and close a deal that was very large for their entity with not a lot of additional burden. So next steps on how to get involved and how to work with John and I's organizations. Ultimately, the Catalyst program is a great way to get started. It's a low risk for your organization program because there is no long-term ongoing contracts you need to sign, no significant investment, no significant friction to identify your organization. Everything that we do is in partnership with your organization. You don't lose any resources from AWS. You only gain more, as John shared in some of those earlier slides before. Ultimately, what needs to happen, though, is we need executive alignment. Obviously, we're going to be talking about getting solutions into Marketplace. We're going to be talking about how your sales team might engage with the AWS sellers differently than you ever have before. Maybe you've never worked with Amazon to take a product to market, or you're just doing it onesie, twosie here or there. So this is going to talk about, joint go-to-market investments. It's going to talk about ways that we're going to be logistically deploying your solutions using AWS's Marketplace to go to market. And so that needs executive alignment and support. Without that support, some of these projects can fall short. We also need, again, the co-sell and marketplace motion. That's very important. There is some level of investment from the teams to talk about battle cards, to be able to share go-to-market plans, and to really, lean into this partnership to make it successful. And if it's not something your organization's comfortable leaning in on, again, another area that could prohibit some success. Signing up for the ISV program, you can scan this QR code or go to the website. It takes you to the same place either way, and ultimately get some more information to either learn more about the program, have a conversation with someone from the Aligned Technology Group team, or if you're just looking for advisory insights on ways to navigate this journey, please feel free to reach out and sign up for that program. Again, we're the team that can help hold your hand throughout the initiative and the process. Then we're going to host an onboarding kickoff. That's typically under an hour, and really be able to identify who are the individuals that are going to own things from your end from an ISV perspective, the resources that we bring to the table, and what Amazonian resources are going to get pulled into the initiative, if any, to start with. And then we'll start assigning work streams. So are we signing up for APM for the very first time, or are you already established partner and you're really just trying to dump more fuel into the fire? And we'll be able to plug into your maturity model at that point in time. And then ultimately, we need participation. So we need your organization to want to be here, to want to have the success. And we offer many different events, training sessions, engagement opportunities to be able to co-create and co-innovate together and work together to be successful, and ultimately get you to a place where you're in that growth or activate stage and running through the full channel activation. I do not have any further slides past this point. So if anyone has any questions they'd like to drop in the chat, feel free to do so now. We'll wait for a couple of minutes here to see if we need to address anything. Otherwise, John and I are happy to follow up after this webinar with any additional specific questions you might have about your organization. Or again, you can use the QR code and website to fill out the form that's been shared here. Thank you all for the time today. And again, we'll hang on for just a minute to see if there's any last minute questions, and then we'll move forward. Well, I don't see anything come across, John, so I think we're free from the questions. But if anyone has anything else, feel free to reach out after the fact. Thank you for the time today.
Yep. Thank you, everybody.